In this video I'm going to add small details to my model airport to make it look much more realistic. First up, I'm going to create some cones. They cannot miss around an aircraft for safety. I 3D printed some cones I found online on Thingiverse and then used red spray paint to get them the right color. After I let them dry for a bit, I placed them down on my airport and I thought they were kind of big. So I printed some cones again, but this time much smaller, which turned out to be way better. In total I've printed about 100 cones and I'm very pleased with the result. Up next is the ILS localizer system. This is a system at the end of the runway which indicates whether the aircraft is too far left or right of the runway. I 3D printed 12 of these antennas and I then made them red using the same spray paint as I used for the cones. Whilst the paint was drying, I 3D printed the frame on which the antennas would be placed. The frame is 12.5 centimeters wide, which matches the width of the runway. There is a 1 centimeter gap in between all of the antennas. After the paint had dried, I used super glue to stick down the antennas onto the frame. And a pair of tweezers also came in very handy. After I stuck down all 12 of the antennas onto the frame, the system was finished and I could stick it down onto my airport. I removed some grass at the end of the runway with a sharp modeling knife and then I placed the ILS system down using super glue once again. It took me a whole evening to build this localizer system. From designing it on my computer to sticking it down, it was about 4 hours. And with this system now in place, we can check it off the to-do list and move on to the next thing. Next up, I'll show you how I made taxiway signs. These signs are often found in the grass on the side of the taxiway and help navigate the aircraft at the airport. In Canva, I designed some of these taxiway signs myself, which I then printed out and cut to the right size. I also 3D printed some frames on which I'm going to stick the just printed out signs using some glue stick. I'm creating several types of markings. The red markings indicate a runway and the black and yellow markings indicate a taxiway. Before I could start designing the signs, I first had to get a good idea of the routes that I was going to create and how I was going to label all of the different taxiways. Using a sharp modeling knife, I then cut out a piece of modeling grass. Putting the sign in the grass instead of on top of the grass, which you can see in the background, really gave a cooler effect. And after sticking all of the taxiway signs into the grass, this is what the end result looks like. Creating these taxiway signs yourself definitely requires planning and designing skills, but in the end it's totally worth it. Moving on, we're going to create jet bridge advertisements. You might recognize these advertisements from Amsterdam Airport Schiphol. And I tried to recreate these advertisements using Photoshop. I created 7 different texts, which I then placed in the Google document. When you click on your image and on the 3 dots and go to size and rotation, you can customize the size in centimeters and that's going to be the size on which it will be printed. I then printed the advertisement, which will have a size of 3.4 centimeters long and 0.8 centimeters in width. I stuck the advertisements onto the jet bridge using glue stick and the only thing left to do was place the jet bridge on the airport, which gave this awesome result. That means we can check off the jet bridge advertisements and move on to the next thing, which are country flags. An airport is the place where you enter or leave the country, at least in some cases, and therefore country flags cannot miss. Using a standard white paper, blue marker and yellow marker, I created the EU flag and I also created the Dutch flag, as that's where I'm from. The flagpole I created using wooden skewers and using some super glue I stuck the flag onto the skewer. By folding the flag a bit I got a wave shape in the flag and using some super glue again I stuck the flags down onto my airport. First a pair of flags at the smaller terminal and then I added more flags at the large terminal, and this brought me to an idea because I have much more space to fit more flags. Therefore let me know in the comments which country you are from and I will add your country flag to my airport. Now we are moving on to the final element, which is adding a windsock. This tool indicates where the wind is coming from and the speed of the wind. I created the windsock the same way I created the flags using a skewer, but instead of a flag I rolled a piece of paper, which I marked red and white, and then I glued that piece of paper on top of the skewer. I created 4 windsocks and stuck them on top of the airport using super glue. I also put windsocks in the grass, which made it look even better. And with the windsocks done, we get to the end of this video. Let me know in the comments any more details that I should add to my airport, and I will make them in the next video. For now, I would like to thank you for watching all the way to the end of this video. Please consider to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and then I will see you in the next video.